All right, now in this video is kind of a continuation of the previous one, and we're going to talk about importing materials. Now, importing materials is a little bit different than models because it relies on the way your files are named a little more heavily than the 3D models. So to test this, I'm going to add a primitive object because that's how we can change the material. I'm going to add a cyc wall, and I'm going to adjust the time of day so we have some nice lighting on it. There we go. So you see if I open up the material editor, we have a couple different categories. The one at the top, however, is custom. And this is where you're going to see all the materials that we imported. Right now we don't have any. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to do import material. Now again, it's going to open up your project, except this time it's going to open up the textures folder. Now with materials, it is much more important that everything stays together. It's important that your texture files are all in the same folder. So that's why I like to just put everything here. So here is a material downloaded from freepbr.com. It has a huge library of fully free PBR materials that you can use in your project. So we're going to open up this folder. And this folder basically has a couple different maps that are being used for the material. These are downloaded as is, just a couple of PNGs. But in order to basically use a material, you're going to want to select the Albedo texture. So normally when you download a material, you get a couple different image files that when combined, they form a nice looking material. So the Albedo is basically the main file that is the look of the texture. So if I click open with photos or edit with photos, you can actually see this is what the material is going to look like. Of course, it's very flat right now because you need this image in conjunction with the metallic and normal map, as well as a couple other ones. So what we're going to do is select Albedo, because that is the main texture. Sometimes this is called base map, sometimes it's called color map. In this case, it's called Albedo, and you click open. Now what SceneForge will do is it'll automatically check the folder for textures with the same name and the extension normal or bump map, as well as metallic or specular map. In the future, other maps are going to be added. Other map capability is going to be added, like ambient occlusion and so on, to increase the range of PBR materials that can be imported. But in this case, it just reads the metallic, normal map, and base map. So now if I change the material, in custom, we have our newly imported material. Now the scale is way too big, so we're going to do 0.002. And there you go. Now we have our material. This is not a seamless material, as you can see, but there you go. And if I turn on reflections, depending on the lighting and depending on the metallic map of the material, it will have reflections. So yes, with this, the most important thing to note is that your material files, your texture files, must have this naming convention. So the one you select at start has to be Albedo or base map or color map. Then there has to be normal map or bump map for the normal map. Then metallic or specular for the metallic map. And again, we're working on adding ambient occlusion and so on and so forth. In the future, again, this is still a beta. There's going to be a full material editor, as well as other things that just make SceneForge's material functionality a little more in line with the way materials work in other real-time 3D programs. And so with that, that is importing materials. Now remember, these can be used on any surface, including the ground, assuming we turn up the scale to something more reasonable, as well as cubes, cyc walls, anything like that. All right, thank you very much.